Good morning. So it is lovely weather today here in Carlsbad, New Mexico. But yesterday it was so incredibly windy, and then there was this huge dust thing that actually created really high levels of pollutants. And if I did not, wasn't planning on going to two national parks, I would have left and just driven until I wasn't in it anymore. And it leaves this layer of dust over everything, because I obviously had my windows open because it was hot. I couldn't be stuffed up in here. I feel okay, so that's good. I had to blow my nose a gazillion times. It is 7:30 local time, which is mountain time, and I've just been working, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. Is just this morning is getting work done and stuff, because the weather is lovely this morning. It's no problem. I'm actually still just in front of the Planet Fitness, or alongside of the Planet Fitness, because why not be here? And then I will go over to the park that I was at yesterday, which was perfectly nice and had bathrooms. And then this afternoon to the cave. So this actually is a cute town now that's not covered with dust, which of course happens periodically. All kinds of people walking around this park. And I checked statistics about this town. I mean, most people, like 70-something% of people own their home, because why is that? Because you can actually buy a house here. So I looked, and there's a bunch of houses for sale around 200 grand. And then there's, of course, like super fancy houses that are huge amounts of money. But it's like 200 grand is something that's affordable, and possible to do. Now, most people here do not make very much money. Only about 20% of people have a bachelor's degree or more. So it's not like, I don't know if that statistic is just of adults. I'm assuming it is a statistic of adults. One of the things, I have not decided about this. Right now I am full-time traveling, full-time living in a vehicle. I imagine I'm going to do this for the next 10 or 20 years. I have these ideas of buying land in different places to be permanent campsites and then maybe build on. I'm not sure if I do want to do a build. There's a whole lot that goes into it. And if I don't do it myself, it's expensive and drilling for a while and all those things, especially thinking about this is a place for me to have, when I'm 70 or 80 or whatever, right? This is obviously something I'm still just brainstorming about, and I will not make any decisions about for a long time. But, do I want to live somewhere like this, some small town that has a hospital? Okay. It's not like they don't have any resources. They have stores, they have restaurants, they have parks, they have things, they have beautiful places to go hiking around here. They have, somewhere where I could actually afford to buy a house. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, it is fairly far from the next big city. I actually think El Paso might be closer than Albuquerque, but either way, it's probably about the same distance to both of them, which actually kind of good, gives you options for things. But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to live in a place that has a much lower population and is very close to places I like to go. Obviously, here does have a whole bunch of days where it's over 100 degrees, but you'd have air conditioning. And the thing is, no matter how old I get, I would plan that I would want to do a lot of traveling anyway, So yeah, I mean, one thing I also really like is they do not care if you have an RV parked in your front lawn. Like they do not care around here. Okay. They are not hyper about any of that kind of stuff. And then you can just see driving around that they are not super hardcore forcing those kinds of rules. So obviously that could change in the future, but right now it's how it is. So that's all. The other thing I'm looking for, and one of the reasons I'm looking at New Mexico, is because they have a fairly low amount of rules and fairly low amount of taxes. Yet the politics of the state overall is closer to mine, even though obviously any small town, I'm going to probably be much more politically progressive than the typical politics of most small towns. That isn't a requirement for me. I more just don't want any laws passed at the state level that makes me or anyone I love illegal in any way. So it seems like the overall state laws are both hands off and in all senses, hands off your personal business and then also hands off your actual business, your money-making business.
I'm taking the elevator down because I don't trust my knees.
Okay, so went to Carlsbad Caverns.
Now, if you've never been to a cave, I think that this would be a really great experience. Number one, you can take an elevator down so it's not hard on your knees or anything like that, climbing downstairs or anything like that. And also part of it is actually accessible for wheelchairs. So, you know, there were people in there. I didn't see anyone in a wheelchair, but I saw multiple people with canes and things like that. Like, you can actually see some of it. And I think it's wonderful to have things that are accessible. You don't actually have any stairs inside of it, but there are, like, only part of it is accessible for wheelchairs. The rest of it has some steep parts. As someone who has gone to many caves, and I mean, I've gone spelunking where you have a hard hat on and there's no lights in there, there's no nothing, and you have to crawl down a crack that's barely bigger than your body, and you actually are crawling on your stomach on mud to get into the cave, like that kind of cave. I've gone to places where this is in a cave so I grew up in Missouri. Missouri had, my understanding is that Missouri has more caves than any other state. I'll have to look that up and confirm it, and I will change this and put a little thing if it's not true. But so many caves. I had so many experiences going to caves as a kid, going on tours at state parks with the person explaining all these things, where there was no lighting in there. There's no, like, you're just walking on the actual stuff, and you have to have your own lights and all that stuff. I've done things with Girl Scouts. I've also done things with school. I went to this one program. We were in southern Illinois, and it was a cave that's full of bats. It's like the most bats in, I don't know, North America or that part of North America. I don't know, something. It was a very long time ago, obviously. And there was this part where you had to sit on the ground, and the top of the cave was like right here, like as tall as this car is, okay? And you had to sit on there as the sun went down, cross-legged, silent. And then 100,000 bats fly out in this space right above your head, and you can feel, I mean, wow. And then they go up and swarm. It is like a swarm, and they go up and swarm and, you know, eat all of the bugs or whatever it is. Amazing. And then also the class I took in college, that was cave ecology, where we went caving. We did all these scientific things and collected stuff. And, you know, I mean, it was a wonderful kind of experience as from a biological perspective, and then also as a cave. It was a cave ecology class, so we learned about cave stuff, and then also all kinds of everything inside the cave, you know, the entire ecology as it is. So when I go to caves like this that are kind of made for the general public, and they have the signs about things, so like, I already know all that stuff, you know, that's mostly they're about, this is what a stalactite is, this is stalagmite is. Now, one thing I was actually really curious about is when you go into caves in Missouri, they're wet and you can hear dripping, and everything looks kind of shiny. This cave looks dead. And I was like, is this cave dead because this is a desert, or is this cave dead because of humans? And the answer is a little bit of both. That when they discovered this and they put in the elevator shaft, which ended up being a good thing, so it provides accessibility. I mean, I took the elevator. I'm not going down 750 feet down on an incredibly sloped thing. That's not good for my knees. But it actually really disturbed the environment. But also, over the last however many tens of thousands of years or whatever it was, millions of years, I don't remember what the plaque said, that this became a arid environment. The cave is only minimally growing because there's just not enough water, which totally makes sense. But it was weird to be in a cave that doesn't hear sound dripping. So the direction I'm going here on this highway, there are no services for 120 miles. That's a ways. That's a couple hours. And that's something that I find people who haven't traveled in the West, who are from other countries, or just always were in the East Coast or even the Midwest, just have never had that experience, you know? There are parts of the Midwest where there's not a gas station for a while, but I don't know about 120 miles, you know? I have 1 bar of 5G here, so that's surprising.
In 2 miles, take the exit towards Scenic Overlook Circle.
So I'm at the rest stop that overlooks the Spruces, which is
there. There are people just rest up, like RVs with their sliders out. People have set up solar panels. So obviously people are like not even joking about the fact that they are so hardcore camping. So no problem for me. I parked in a parking spot. I'm gonna sleep here tonight. I have not figured out what I'm gonna do after tomorrow. I'm gonna go to the White Sands in the morning, but after that, I don't know. So I need to do is create a couple different, I have 5G now and it's only 6:25. So I'm gonna create a couple different plans. I can't actually make the decision at White Sands and like do the research there because GPS is scrambled. So, cause it's close to the like missile testing facility or whatever. So they scrambled GPS. So I can't use my phone to make a plan or make a map or anything like that. I gotta have that all planned out ahead of time. Once I get out of that zone, then obviously GPS will work again, but not while I'm there. So I'm here at White Sands. It is 7:09 a.m. So perfect timing. They open the gates at 7 and I stopped at the visitor center, which is closed, but they have water filling thing outside. So I filled up one of my gallons of water. So I have about 1.5 gallons of water. So I could be here all day, which I'm not going to be here all day, but I could. And I would definitely not run out of water. The entrance station was closed, which is, I mean, obviously it doesn't matter for me because I have a pass, but it was just kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay. I'm here too early. The gate is open, but there ain't no one here collecting any money. So I don't have a paper map or anything like that because of that, but that's fine because I can just, you know, look at my screenshot map that I did before I got here. So I was listening to the audio tour of the park road. And by the way, if you are going to national parks, make sure you download the National Park Service app. And then before you actually go, download the information for each park that you're going to go to. And then, yeah, you have all these audio tours or walking tours that you read stuff. And then, of course, the maps and all the regular information is very, very helpful. I learned that these gypsum white dunes, there's only 3 of them in the world. They're very, very rare. So, yeah, it really makes it neater, huh? It's much easier than most sand dunes to walk on. It's more like the part of the beach that has water under it, which makes sense because there's water right under these sand dunes. So as you can see, all of a sudden the footprints disappear. So if you didn't have these markers for where to go, you just like lost out on the dunes. At first I was like, oh, all these footprints ruin the dunes. Nope, they get washed away. Don't worry about that. The spots here, they're hard. So weird. Right next to sand. So just in the last hour, it's only 8:15 local, it is already gotten warm. I mean, part of us is just in the sun, full on sun, and it reflects, you know, I mean, it's just, but now the sand isn't hot, but goodness, it is warm. This is kind of wild. This is a huge area for a picnic area. I just picked one random spot. And you can totally, like, there's some things that are bigger and smaller, but it's so neat. Like, I have my little own picnic thing here. I parked so I'd have a little bit of shade while I was cooking. And then I can come and sit over here and just look out on my own private, sand dune field. Yeah, I'm definitely coming back here. So much space. Like, even if there were a lot of other people here, you actually can get your own little spot. I mean, I took one that has 2 picnic tables. Those just have one over there, which if there was more people here, I wouldn't have taken one for 2. But yeah, I mean, so much space. And you have shade, which is amazing. Obviously, the shade's not going to be perfect at sunrise, sunset, but then at sunrise, you don't need it. And I wouldn't be here at sunset unless I was coming just to do the sunset walk, which I might do sometime. And you can backpack here. Like, that would be a really neat trip for the future. Now, I wouldn't do this year because it's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. But
coming in the fall, maybe not this year, but like in the future. I think that would be really neat. If you can time it, you can actually get here when there's water, standing water in places, which would be really neat juxtaposition. Okay, huge bowl of food. So this is something that I need to build into my trips. Times where I'm just in a picnic area or whatever, and I'm not really doing anything, and it's quiet, and I'm in the shade, you know, whatever is appropriate for that season. I'm just reading a book on my Kindle, just chilling. And yeah, because going place to place, literally every day, day after day, gets tiring and overwhelming. So it is nice just to stop for a little while and read a book. I still am planning to go into town and work and then drive my 4 hours to the rest stop and make my way back for a number of reasons. I have to be back by Sunday because I need to go to my storage unit because I have a prescription that I will need on Monday morning. But between now and then, I could get back on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. But the thing is, it's easier to regroup and stuff in town. One of the things that I realized is that there's a whole bunch of stuff that I got for this trip. Not that I got for this trip. It's a whole bunch of stuff that I brought on this trip that I didn't use. So I think what I'm going to do is put that stuff in my storage unit and kind of, you know, really start whittling down what's in my car. I have a couple of things that I need to get that I either or is in my storage unit or stuff that I just don't even have. And I need to buy 1 liter bottles. I need to have 2 1-liter bottles. I can go on the bottom of my backpack so I can have more water with me when I hike in desert and things like that. Places where there's no water. Yeah, it's time for me to regroup. But really having this time to just have downtime is really important. Otherwise, it actually becomes weirdly overwhelming and stressful.
One thing that's interesting about this park is that they are constantly trying to hold back the sand. You know, there was that guy out there this morning when I was eating breakfast and hanging out who was just bulldozing sand. I could see some of the places because sand dunes move constantly. So it's like they have to constantly move the sand to keep it off the road, to keep it off the parking areas. And, you know, in some ways it is a losing battle, but you can see there's you know, that to go out every morning and see how things changed. So random thing that I've realized on this trip, now that I've been going across many other states, I didn't realize that I drive like a California person. Like in California, I'm not the fastest driver. I'm not even close. But in all the other states, I kind of am. I'm like, oh, I'm much more fast and aggressive than most of the other people in most other states. Not everywhere. There are certain cities that I was around where people, you know, were much more aggressive than me. But generally speaking, I'm like, oh no. Phoenix. I'm between Phoenix and Quartzsite. Yeah, I'm middling. I'm faster than the tractor trailers, and I'm probably in the lowest third of how much. And you look at the license plates, and about maybe more than half of the people are California. And yeah, they're going. I'm going 80, and they are going fast, lot faster than me. They're going 90. I don't know what they're doing. So yeah, it is interesting how all of a sudden you hit California drivers.
since it's mid-April and it's 94 degrees, that the RVs would be gone. But there's obviously people who spend a significant amount of time here, but they're in RV, the people in RV parks, and they may have full hookups. And if you have an RV with air conditioning, you could obviously stay here all the time. So that may be what a lot of these people are. I mean, just, yeah, so many RV parks, but with like nice, some of them have like really nice RVs, and then some of them are just like your typical RVs. So, and then some of them, like, they look like trailer parks, not an RV park, because people have like stuff, you know what I mean? Like they actually live there all the time. So I guess there still are people out here just camped out in the BLM land. I mean, so there's some people, 90 degrees isn't hot. If they are cool with it. I'm burning the inadvertent pun because I do not like puns. Then still works, right? Okay, this area is beautiful. I had no idea that there are these rock mountains here, right next to the Colorado River. There's all a bunch of different state parks and stuff, of Arizona state parks. Yeah, I had no idea this was like what the topography here was like. I never really looked at it in detail, like a topographical map or anything. I just thought it was all more flat desert, right? But it's totally not. It is super cool. When I say it's super cool, it is, the temperature is 96 degrees Fahrenheit in April, so it is warm, but it is lovely. I've seen some really good spots here for dispersed camping, where people are actually camped right now, like where there's like cars. You're only 15 minutes, if that, from town, a town that has a Planet Fitness. That's smart. I just saw a storage unit place that has showers. This is so weird. Like we're just gonna move a bridge from London into somewhere where it's literally 99 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know, bizarre. Rich people do things that are very weird.